Right through India's lockdown, they've been very high profile. They've gone viral for their deeds. From feeding the hungry and poor to donning corona helmets as a lesson. From shocking brutality on violators to shaking a leg to educate the masses. India's police forces are on their feet. And here on India Today, we bring you the good, the bad, and the funny. Join us as we introduce you to the cops of Corona. Hello and welcome. Since the beginning of the lockdown, you've seen them everywhere. Some good, some bad, and definitely most of them completely viral. Of course, I'm talking about cops, the policemen and policewomen of this country. In the last 1 week since the lockdown was announced, our policemen and women have been making headlines for both the right and the wrong reasons. Over the next half hour, I'm going to get you a series of videos of our men and women in khaki who've gone viral. First, we get you a report on the cops who've made us all proud. They've gone beyond the call of duty and presented themselves as true heroes. Through this historic lockdown, as India faces an unprecedented crisis, it has fallen upon frontline policemen and women to enforce conditions that they themselves are handling for the first time ever. But through this crisis that we're journeying through as Indians, several men and women in khaki are showing the way, setting an example, going beyond the call of duty and truly earning their stripes. We'll get to the bad in just a bit, but first the good. These are the lockdown heroes we'd like to tell you about. Meet Bareilly Range DIG Rajesh Kumar Pandey, who isn't just making it a point to provide food to the old and poor in his area, but also to hapless animals left in the lurch by the lockdown. These images of him feeding animals have gone viral, inspiring police forces countrywide to follow the example and think of our vulnerable furry friends. Not far away in UP's Meerut, station officer Vijay Gupta has turned his own home into a community kitchen. Remember that as a policeman, he's not required to offer his own home for such a task. But recognizing the adversity in his area, he decided to go beyond the call of duty. As millions of Indians were left stranded and dazed by the lockdown, many compassionate cops stepped up to assuage their fears and even lend a helping hand. Like here in Maharashtra's Dhulia district, where the police helped a frightened woman reach her home amidst the lockdown. India lives in its villages, they say, and as the lockdown was enforced, it became incumbent on authorities across the country to ensure that the abrupt snapping of supplies did not dangerously harm thousands of villages. In UP's Jhansi, the police commissioner Subhash Chandra Sharma, along with his wife, traversed to a village several kilometers into the countryside to ensure that the residents were receiving food and reassured them at a desperate time of need. In fact, images of police stepping beyond their law enforcement role and helping the poor with food became a common sight across the country. From Ludhiana to Mathura, from Chennai to Kerala, police were frequently seen organizing food distribution to India's most vulnerable. The sight reassured citizens across the country, even as India's supply chain kicked back into rhythm gradually. In urban India too, the police stepped up. Like in the national capital, where a 73-year-old woman received assistance from the police in terms of rations and groceries after she approached them for help. Like thousands of vulnerable senior citizens, she lives alone and was desperate for help since her son lives abroad. The Delhi police was only too happy to oblige. Meanwhile, cops also rose to the occasion to rescue a pregnant lady in UP's Banda. After her desperate husband, locked down in distant Hyderabad, pleaded for help, his wife, who was ill, needed to be taken home, the police stepped in and got the job done, much to the relief of the young couple expecting their first child. Meanwhile in Delhi, the police was an angel from above for a woman and her newborn child in the Sabzi Mandi area of the city. After giving birth, the young woman was stuck in hospital because of the lockdown. Hearing about her plight, the police reached out to her and gave her a lift home in their own vehicle. This is the kind of dabang India always wants. Strong, helpful and a shining example of duty in adversity. These cops have earned India's admiration, thanks and respect. Bureau Report, India Today. And you couldn't ignore the villains either, and there were many of them. The men and women who took the law into their own hands and resorted to shocking, inhumane acts during the lockdown. Police officials who didn't shy away from raining sadistic blows on helpless people and in turn shaming the khaki. The corona lockdown is a tough time for every Indian, and police forces have been entrusted with a historically difficult task. They have to enforce the lockdown, deter violators and send out a strong message of law and order. But while most police across the country have stepped up to the task, many others have shocked the country with acts of gratuitous cruelty, brutality and needless excess. For every good deed done, the khaki was also shamed and embarrassed. Take these shocking images, for instance, from Ahmedabad's Krishnanagar on Tuesday. A cop you see in these images isn't just stopping the vegetable vendors, but goes on to behave very cruelly. He upturns 3 vegetable carts, sending the vegetables sprawling on the road. At a time when people are worried about essential commodities and the poor struggle to keep afloat, these images have truly shamed the khaki. A police inspector in the area has been suspended, but we wonder if that's a strong enough message. A similar incident of gratuitous brutality was seen in Telangana's Jangaon, where a simple warning to violators took an ugly turn. 3 men playing cards outside their residence were made to sit on their haunches and then cruelly caned. The men cry in pain as the cop in this video administers the punishment. The question is, has the drive to enforce social distancing and curfew descended to the realm of sadism? Another that has shamed the khaki immeasurably is this clip of a man on a scooter who is intercepted by the police. He appears to be running a delivery of some essential items when they stop him and rain their lathis on him and his goods. These pictures went viral enough for the Punjab police to issue a statement condemning the excess and sending out word to its rank and file to remain sensitive yet firm in enforcing the lockdown. In another incident from Telangana, this time in Narayanpet, a thrashing by police of persons violating the lockdown and attending Friday prayers caused a great deal of outrage. Images of police thrashing the masjid imam and those who attended the prayers escalated into a major controversy, forcing the government to step in and calm tensions. Meanwhile, in Faridabad on the outskirts of Delhi, a hapless bus driver was brutally beaten for attempting to help migrant workers get to their hometowns. As India watched shocking images of migrant workers setting off on foot for their villages and towns from Delhi, this bus driver, who reportedly wanted to help whoever he could, had to pay the price. He was brutally beaten. Action has been ordered against the cops responsible. On the night that the lockdown was announced, these were the scary images of a crackdown by police to disperse a crowd protesting against a proposed coronavirus isolation ward in Andhra Pradesh's West Godavari district. The police can be seen here beating protesters, including women. A video that went viral right as the lockdown was beginning, and it set the tone for the next few days. 2 days into the lockdown, these disturbing images were beamed across the country from Badaयूं in Uttar Pradesh, where a group of cops cruelly made some migrants do frog hops. the country was only just coming to terms with the lockdown, so when it saw these images, there was a firestorm of protest, especially on social media, forcing the Badaयूं police to issue an apology and announce action against these cops. This video went viral just hours before Prime Minister Modi declared the national lockdown. Seen here is a cab driver being mercilessly thrashed by a policeman in Guntur, Andhra Pradesh. Unsurprisingly, the video went viral and brought a flood of criticism against the Andhra police at a time when it was just bracing for a much bigger challenge. And in these shocking images from Bihar's Khagaria, the police administered a humiliating punishment not just to the young but also to senior citizens. The disturbing clips drew widespread condemnation and attention to whether the police is indulging in too many excesses in the effort to deter people from violating the lockdown. And in a country of violent inequities and inequalities, it's always the poor who face the worst of police action. In these images from Lakhimpur Kheri in Uttar Pradesh, the police was seen punishing lockdown violators in an especially cruel way, but thankfully wasn't beating them. Instead, they were forced to frog march holding their bicycles aloft, humiliating and painful in this time of adversity. What we've shown you is only a handful of videos. Since the lockdown began, there's been a steady stream of such images of wanton beatings and cruelty perpetrated by men in khaki. Please remember, not for a moment are we belittling the difficult job that we entrust to our brave police forces across the country. But when they go the extra cruel mile, when a warning would do, even if it was for deterrence, questions must be asked. We are not, after all, a police state. Bureau Report, India Today.
So we've shown you the heroes in khaki, we've shown you the villains in khaki, and now it's time for some fun in khaki. And believe me, there's been a lot of it right through this lockdown. Here are the cops who've gone the extra mile to spread awareness during the lockdown. From the famous Corona helmets to cops singing songs to enforce the lockdown, our policemen and women have also given us plenty of entertainment.
We promised you the good, the bad, and the funny. Well, this may not be a laughing matter in the real sense, but India loved how several policemen have been very good sports and stepped up to the task of enforcing the national lockdown. With ideas that popped and won many hearts. The undisputed winner in the viral charts has to be this Chennai police inspector, whose images have gone global after he donned this Corona helmet as an instrument of education on the streets of Chennai. The idea came from a local artist who teamed up with the very willing and sporting Chennai police to get the job done. Inspired by the Corona helmet stunt in Chennai, the Bengaluru traffic police got its own Corona helmets. The cops wearing these helmets have now been spotted in the Garden City as well, warning motorcyclists especially that lockdown time means staying home unless absolutely necessary. Meanwhile, a cop in Telangana's Nagar Kurnool went viral after he lost his cool and then lost his lathi. That's right, here you can see him try to teach a motorcyclist a lesson, but he wasn't prepared for what happened next. And while he tried his best to retrieve the government-issued instrument of power, he was forced to list it as lost in action. Well, lesson learned. In neighbouring Andhra Pradesh's Kurnool district, a police sub-inspector has entered the viral charts after he galloped through the town on a white horse painted with pink coronavirus motifs. While the images disturbed many, it was certainly effective. Meanwhile, in Chennai, one particular traffic cop was busy going viral for choosing to make an emotional appeal with folded hands instead of wielding the lathi on violators. At the crowded Spencer's signal on Chennai's Mount Road, the policeman was seen practically pleading with commuters to stay home and respect the lockdown orders. We're told the heartful appeal did have an effect. Well, this wasn't strictly a punishment, but the police in UP's Mao decided it was a good idea to force violators of the lockdown to sing the national anthem. Meanwhile, several cops across the country, including in Bihar's Katihar, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Bengaluru and Gwalior, even broke into song, making it known that a good tune was never too far a cry in the fight against the coronavirus. With many more days of the lockdown left to go and India finding its lockdown mojo, let's hope there are less beatings, more singing, and definitely more of those corona helmets. Bureau Report, India Today.
Hi everyone, Preeti Chaudhary here. Hope you like this video. For latest news and analysis, like and subscribe to the India Today YouTube channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated. Thank you for watching.